To be awarded a patent, you have to be the first person ever to create that invention. In order to make sure of this, the person who awards it to you, the patent examiner, searches far and wide to make sure you're the first. To get a utility patent, you also have to invent something that's functional on some level. Now, there's also a rule that says in order to get a patent, the examiner has to make sure that the invention isn't abstract. So, what does, quote, abstract, end quote, mean? Unfortunately, no one really knows. There's no prescriptive definition of what abstract is. For all intents and purposes, at the Patent Office, the word abstract means we aren't sure how to define this, but we really don't want to give patents for these types of inventions. But don't worry, most people's inventions are not abstract. Most people who invent things actually get it right. This isn't a huge problem. To go into it further, in order to determine if something is quote-unquote abstract, according to the Patent Office, they do give you some clues. Let's play out a scenario. Imagine that you're at the circus and you're playing one of those carny games. It's that carny game where you have to throw your ball into one of several baskets. If you can get it into the basket, then you win. This carny game has 4 baskets. They're labeled machine, process, article of manufacture, and composition. Your invention is the ball you're trying to throw in the basket. Outside the baskets, the wall, floor, wherever, is the abstract or the ineligible area. You can throw your ball into any of these 4 baskets, then you're good to go. But if you miss the baskets and hit the wall or the floor, then you're done. Your invention is abstract. Let's look at bucket number 1, machine. Well, the Patent Office defines machine as a concrete thing consisting of parts or certain devices or a combination of devices. That covers a lot of stuff. It covers anything from staplers, which have a handle, a staple holder, and a rubber grip, which are the parts, to a computer networking system, which has a router, the internet, and a bunch of devices connected to it. These are all machines. Let's look at bucket number 2. Bucket number 2 is a process. Process is an act or a series of acts or steps. This invention is characterized by a bunch of things that happen. An example is like a method that would be performed for delivering a product twice as fast to a customer. It would have a series of steps: weighing packages, recording the weight of those packages, loading it in the truck, determining based on the weight where the packages should go, driving the truck to the destination with the packages. These are a series of steps, and you can get a patent on them. Bucket number 3 is called an article of manufacture. Well, this is a terrible, terrible name for this type of invention. Really, it's a way to describe a thing by what it does and how it's made. An example of this is a tire. Now, you would think a tire has an inner tread and outer tread and things like that, so it's a machine because it has parts. Except this tire is made by acquiring rubber from shipwrecks in the Caspian Sea and then molding the Caspian shipwreck rubber into the shape of a tube, then rolling the tube onto a chain-link fence to make the treads. That's an article of manufacture, and it's because the invention is a physical thing which is described by how it's made. Another example is software. How you describe software so it doesn't land on the abstract floor is that it is memory, which contains a list of instructions, and you're protecting the memory which has instructions, which say, collect information from the internet, then display the information to the user, then collect personal information, then combine internet information and personal information. Well, just like the tire, it's a physical thing, the memory of the computer, which is described by the steps associated with it, not by its physical attributes. Bucket number 4 is a composition. Well, the Patent Office defines a composition of matter as all compositions of 2 or more substances and all composite articles, whether they be the result of a chemical union or a mechanical mixture, or with other gases or fluids or powder or solids. Basically, what this means is you're mixing together a bunch of things, and they have unique percentages, weights, and configurations. That's a composition. It's usually chemistry-type stuff. These are the 4 baskets you're trying to get your invention into. While we don't have a definition of what abstract is, we at least have examples of what has been considered abstract. Imagine now you have above the buckets a conveyor belt. On this conveyor belt, there's some rods out there that could hit your ball and knock it out so it doesn't go into the bucket. If your invention is one of these types of rods, then it's going to get hit by the ball. The little pegs that will block it from getting into the basket will be laws of nature, natural phenomenon, abstract ideas, scientific principles, systems that depend on human intelligence alone, disembodied concepts, mental processes, disembodied mathematical algorithms and formulas, human beings, computer programs per se, companies, data per se, contracts, and signals. There is no definition of what really is abstract, just a bunch of examples of things that can knock your invention ball onto the floor. These buckets, in actuality, are really big, and most people who invent things can get it into the buckets. Things like patenting contracts, human beings, and companies sounds more like performance art or being ironic. Things like laws of nature, natural phenomenon, well, these are also for scientists and explorers. You can't get a patent on something that you find that is naturally occurring. Things like computer programs, data per se, algorithms, formulas, and mental processes are for data scientists or programmers. Well, this is the one category of person who should probably pay particular attention if they have this type of invention. You can get a patent on computer-related inventions. There are just some things you have to be aware of. Well, the Patent Office actually gives you guidelines on how to do that. It's just in the way that you describe your computer-related invention that will help to avoid these rods. That's it. Unless you're a data scientist or a programmer, most of the time you'll have no problem shooting your invention ball into the Carney bucket. And if you are a data scientist or a programmer, you just have to learn new techniques like a sidearm toss.